There's something almost unsettling about people who don't post on social media. Not occasionally, not rarely, but almost never. No updates, no opinions, no proof they even exist online. And yet, they're there, watching, understanding, absorbing everything. In a world where people document their lives in real time, these individuals choose silence. And that raises a question most people don't ask deeply enough. What do they understand that others don't? Because, let's be honest, social media is no longer just a tool. It's a stage where people don't just share life, they shape it. Moments are adjusted, emotions are filtered, experiences are edited until they become something slightly different from reality. Something more acceptable, more impressive, more visible. But people who don't post, they step outside that entire system. And once you step outside, you start seeing it for what it really is. For most people, identity today is partially constructed online. Who you are becomes what you show. Your photos, your captions, your updates, they act like fragments of a digital personality. But here's the problem. The moment your identity becomes something you present, it also becomes something you have to maintain. And that creates pressure. Subtle, but constant. Now, compare that to someone who doesn't post. Their identity isn't being shaped publicly. It's being built privately. And that gives them something incredibly rare: control. Control over what remains unseen. Control over what stays theirs. Because not everything about a person needs to be consumed to be real. There's a psychological loop most people are trapped in, and they don't even realize it. You post something, you wait. A like comes in, then another, then a comment, and your brain rewards you. A small dopamine hit. It feels good, so you do it again, and again. Over time, you stop sharing because you want to. You start sharing because your brain expects to. But people who don't post have interrupted that loop. They're not feeding their self-worth through digital reactions, which means something powerful happens. Their sense of value becomes self-generated, not algorithm-dependent. And that kind of independence is becoming extremely rare. Think about it. When was the last time you did something meaningful and didn't feel the urge to share it? When you're not busy expressing, you become better at observing. And observation is a form of power. People who don't post much spend more time watching patterns, how people present themselves, how behavior changes under attention, how emotions are performed. They notice inconsistencies, the difference between what people show and what they actually feel. And over time, this builds a deeper understanding of human nature. Because while others are trying to be seen, they're trying to see. And those are two very different mindsets. Social media runs on comparison, not openly, but constantly. Who's doing better? Who looks happier? Who's ahead in life? Even when you're not trying to compare, your brain does it automatically. But people who don't post frequently tend to engage less in that cycle. They're not constantly placing themselves inside that invisible competition, and that creates psychological space, less anxiety, less self-doubt, less pressure to keep up. They're not living slower, they're just living without measuring. There's a concept that's slowly disappearing. Privacy. Not forced privacy, chosen privacy. The decision to keep parts of your life unseen, unexplained, untouched. People who don't post often value this deeply because they understand something subtle. The moment you share something online, it no longer belongs only to you. It becomes open to interpretation, to judgment, to misunderstanding. But when you keep something private, it stays intact, pure. And that creates a different kind of relationship with your own life, one that isn't influenced by how others perceive it. But let's go deeper, because silence isn't always confidence. Sometimes it's protection. Some people stop posting after being judged, after being ignored, after realizing how quickly people form opinions. Others feel exhausted by the pressure to present themselves a certain way. Psychologists call this self-presentation fatigue, the mental drain of constantly managing how you appear to others. And for some, the only way to escape that pressure is to disappear from it. Not completely from the world, just from the performance of it. There's a subtle shift that happens when you stop thinking about posting. You start experiencing moments differently. You're not framing them. You're not capturing them. You're inside them. A conversation becomes deeper when it isn't interrupted by a phone. A place feels richer when it isn't reduced to a picture. A memory feels stronger when it isn't shared instantly. And slowly, life stops feeling like content and starts feeling real again. In psychology, there's something called an internal locus of control. It means your sense of identity, happiness, and worth comes from within, not from external approval. People who don't rely on posting often lean towards this. They don't need constant feedback to feel secure. They don't need visibility to feel significant. And that creates a quiet kind of confidence, one that doesn't need to be displayed to exist. Here's the irony. The people who show the least often experience the most. They notice more, feel more, think more deeply, because their attention isn't split between living and documenting. And in a world obsessed with being noticed, they've chosen something far more difficult: to be present. So next time you see someone who never posts, don't assume they're inactive. Don't assume they're missing out. They might have simply stepped out of a system that rewards visibility over reality. They might have realized that not everything meaningful needs an audience, that not every moment needs proof, and that sometimes the most authentic way to live is quietly. Because in the end, the people who don't post aren't disappearing. They're just choosing to exist beyond the screen.